If you're interested in this game, but all the negative talk around microtransactions and lack of fast travel has you scared, Don't worry about that. Those people are idiots, and anyone complaining about it, frankly speaking, hasn't played this game. Now, admittedly, even when I first started this game, I was very frustrated at the lack of fast traveling, but that's because I was playing the game wrong. What I mean by that is I was playing this as a traditional open world game where I was rushing missions rather than enjoying the environment. But when I started to just slow down and appreciate the sheer amount of depth that the world has, I really started to enjoy myself. There is fast traveling in the game, but I rarely end up using it because exploring is just so tantalizing. There's something interesting to discover around every corner. The caves are extremely intricate and sometimes can end up leading to the other side of a whole mountain. There's shortcuts and secrets everywhere. But let's start at the beginning. So when you first start, you're going to end up creating your character, and then you get to choose your vocation or your job or your class. If you start playing the game and you're like, oh, I'm not feeling this class, don't worry about it because you can job swap at any time for free. And if none of the basic classes are clicking with you, which is very unlikely, don't worry because there's a couple secret classes you can unlock as well. But after you've designed your character, you are going to design your pawn. Your pawn is a permanent sidekick that you will always have with you. This character or creature or whatever is the true form of artificial intelligence in that it will learn and adapt its behavior based on how you play the game. If you play very aggressive, your pawn will start to be aggressive. If you start discarding rotten fruit from your inventory that's spoiled, your pawn will start doing the same. Now, you can also have 2 additional party member slots where you can hire other players' pawns. Their pawns will behave in accordance to their creator, meaning that some of the pawns you hire might be idiots and some of them might be battle geniuses, because the more of a particular enemy you end up fighting with your pawn, the more efficient your pawn is going to get at killing that enemy. Now, while exploring, there's going to end up being a slew of different creatures, all with their own tactics that you can exploit, but the class you choose in the game can determine how you approach the fighting. Do you want to be a mage and hit enemies really hard from a distance, or go up close and get them with status effects? Maybe you want to take aggro and just bash enemies around with your shield, or be a quick nimble rogue where you're tethering enemies down or just dashing behind them. Each of the classes is extremely fleshed out and all have their own unique gameplay, but you're encouraged to level up all of the different vocations because as you level them up, you can unlock passive augments that can be used on any character. This is essentially how you'll create your own builds. Now, the other biggest aspect aside from the combat is of course the exploration, and this world is worth exploring. I'll hit you guys with a little example because I don't want to spoil too much, but basically there's this point in the game where you have to pass into a new biome. There's a big gate blocking your way, and the main quest is the way that you'll end up getting a permit in order to pass that gate. But if you go out of your way and start exploring, you can actually find a more deadly secret route through some caves that will lead you into that next area without needing to complete that part of the main quest at all. Now, the cool thing is that a lot of the quests in the game actually have this level of player choice involved. Yes, you can fail some quests in a traditional sense, where you mess it up, don't get the reward, and you cannot continue. But some quests will actually have a bad outcome. So even though you quote unquote failed to complete the objective, the quest will continue, but it'll move forward in that failed state rather than a success state. The game is desperately trying to make the player live with their consequences. And honestly, I think that this is really cool, even if a bit convoluted and weird. And in a way, it kind of gets me excited for New Game Plus because it means that I can go through the game with the knowledge that I have from those failures. As much as you hear people complaining about the microtransactions and lack of fast travel, there's only 2 things that I would legitimately complain about with this game. One is the fact that you feel like a ragdoll pincushion sometimes. You can get knocked on your ass and your pawns are so stupid they just don't pick you up in time. It's really annoying, but it doesn't really detract from the enjoyment of the game. The big problem is that because this game only has one save file and wants you to live with the consequences, it's constantly auto-saving. But let's say that you end up failing a quest and you're like, no, screw that, I want to try again. Your only option is to load a save file from the last time that you slept at an inn or slept at town in one of your houses. The problem is that the game's not really forthcoming about how long ago that was. So the scariest example that I can give you guys is a buddy of mine ended up reloading a save file from the inn, not realizing that the last time that they slept in town was 12 hours ago from their current playing session. That's 12 hours of progress completely wiped because of a stupid developer decision. Why can't I have a backup save? Or more importantly, why can't I just load from the inn, realize it's too long ago, and then just load from the most recent autosave instead? It's stupid and I don't get it. But keeping that in mind, this game is still a masterpiece that deserves to be played. If you enjoyed Skyrim, Elden Ring, or more particularly Monster Hunter, you will love Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, while it's very similar to a lot of games, it still manages to be unique. It's not just another open world game that uses Souls-like combat and iframes. It does its own thing. And in this day and age of video games, that's really impressive because so many games will usually just copy something else that's successful. It's not often that we end up getting passion projects like this or Elden Ring or Zelda.